season, Bobby Hebert led the Falcons to a victory over the 49ers.
Yeah, that's right. And got the Falcons into the playoffs. Now, of course, the Falcons are a long way from the playoffs, and June Jones, the head coach, is getting ready to pack his bags and ship out. But they still could win that game.
Next Sunday, here on Fox, one of the NFC wild card matchups. So check local listings. The other NFC wild card game will take place on Saturday. 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line. Jason Dunn in motion. Detmer with time. His intended receiver was Mark Say. Tito Paul on the coverage, so the Cardinals hold the Eagles. They had 1st and goal on the 9, but could not reach the end zone. So Gary Anderson, who has already hit 3 field goals today, will look to make it 4-4.
I saw Gary Anderson down on the field before the game, and I couldn't believe it because he's still wearing a uniform. And I know he's only a kicker, but when I can remember being a kid growing up in the Syracuse area where he kicked and then being recruited to Syracuse University, and I saw him then, and now I'm seeing him now. And of course the game's come and gone for me, but Gary Anderson is out there before me and he's out there after. It's like one of those guys who'll never quit, never stop.
You played 8 years. Anderson in his 15th season pitched from 26, extending Philadelphia's lead
to RFK, and it's just an incredible experience as a player, and a lot of guys are going to miss that.
Dowdell out across the 30-yard line, and the Cardinals will take over once we return to the vet. But flags, no flags, extracurricular activity. We expected flags, they were not thrown. There's a Tim, I know you've been working on your stride as of late.
Yeah, and that kind of looks like where I'm about at on skates. Right about where that young man was. Just learning. Just learning. I know you're a big hockey guy. I mean, anybody who's Gretzky's NFL guru has got to have some game on skates.
Well, I'll have to admit, a couple of weeks ago on a flight, I was reading the Arizona Cardinals weekly notes, the weekly release, and Wayne Gretzky wandered to my section of the plane and
he wanted the inside scoop.
Caught exactly what I was taking a look at and shouted about the Cardinals. Here's Boomer. His first completion of the afternoon. It's the tight end, Johnny McWilliams. The rookie out of USC, James Willis, forced him out of bounds. And right now we'll look at our Mitsubishi AFC playoff update.
Of course, the division champions, Denver, New England, and Pittsburgh. Denver with the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then Buffalo, Indy, and Kansas City control their destiny. Although, as we said, if Jacksonville wins and the Kansas City-Buffalo game ends in anything but a tie, Jacksonville will go to the playoffs. And the loser of this game, which looks like going to be Kansas City, will go home. Now, Jacksonville looks like they're going to win that game against Atlanta. Though, as I said, you can't count Atlanta out with Bobby Hebert at the helm.
And what a great story, Tom Coughlin in his 2nd year with the Jaguars. Boomer dumps it off. Leland McElroy has the first down. William Thomas made the tackle. And with all the talk this year revolving around the Carolina Panthers and their terrific season, everybody sort of forgot about the Jaguars, but they could be playing next week.
Yeah, and the Jaguars, I mean, again, it starts with your quarterback, and the Jaguars have the top-rated quarterback or the top passing quarterback in the league, Mark Brunell.
Esiason's pass is nearly picked off by James Fuller. He'll be thinking about that one tonight.
Yeah, and Esiason, Kenny, having pretty much the same troubles that Kent Graham was having, because the Eagles secondary is doing an outstanding job of coverage out in the secondary, and they're applying pressure on the quarterback with only 3 or 4 defenders, and you see it there. I mean, there's really no place to throw that football for Boomer Esiason, and there wasn't for Kent Graham either. Emmett Thomas calling an outstanding defensive game plan today. No place to throw again.
And once again, it was Fuller on the coverage. So it will be 3rd down and 10 for Boomer Esiason and the Cardinals.
And there's Emmett Thomas, again, the defensive coordinator. You see him there. He looks like a strategist, doesn't he, with the glasses and kind of dour look on his face. And again, he only rushed 3 on the last play, and he's dropping a lot of guys, a lot of his Eagles defenders into coverage, giving the quarterbacks absolutely no place to throw to.
And Emmett's name has been mentioned as a potential head coaching candidate in the National Football League. Esiason lifts one downfield in the vicinity of Frank Sanders, and
he's got no place to go again, Kenny. And Emmett Thomas had it right. I mean, he really had an outstanding plan. And what's happened is, all game long, the Eagles have done a nice job of double covering Arizona's wide receivers, because that's really the strength of their passing game. And Jim Fossil's receivers, he knows he's got Rob Moore and Frank Sanders. He wants his quarterbacks to get the ball to them. But with 2 guys on each of them, he's not been able to do it.
Now the Cardinals will go for it on 4th and 10. Esiason throwing downfield and has the first down. No.
They're saying no catch.
Troy Vincent said no, and now the officials say no.
Ball was
Frank
down.
Sanders, who nearly was able to come up with the spectacular catch.
Yeah, and Frank Sanders is in some pain. I mean, he took a shot on this play here. And once again, I mean, there's only 4 guys in the pass rush. Look at the coverage. Look at the guys. He's sandwiched. He's got 3 guys all around him, and he loses the ball right there underneath him. So Boomer has lost that magic that brought the Cardinals back before.
Back in Philadelphia, Eagles take over on downs. 1st and 10 on their own 36-yard line. Irving Fryer in motion. This is Ricky Waters.
Well, Kenny, over on downs because Frank Sanders, you see on the sideline here on that last play, drops his ball. Watch this. This is a perfect picture of it. He comes up and he's got that ball brought in. Troy Vincent comes, makes the hit, and then you see the ball right there. It's out. He does not have possession of it. An outstanding picture by our cameraman, which does not surprise me because these guys have done an outstanding job all season long. They've played like the Eagles at 7-2 throughout. They didn't have a slump. Our cameraman.
They played like the Cardinals during that 3-game stretch.
Yeah, magic.
On 2nd and 5, Chris T. Jones pulls it in.
Well, you talk about offensive chemistry. That's chemistry. I mean, that's molecules and atoms sliding into place. Here's Detmer. He hangs on. He's got a little bit of pressure, but he lops that ball up there and just drops it right into Chris T. Jones' hands. And then you see Jones with the concentration to keep his feet in. Remember before? He didn't keep his feet in bounds in the end zone, and John Gruden probably got him on the phone and said, hey, when you catch that ball, you get your eyes on your feet, and you make sure you stay off the white line.
Ty Detmer now 11 of his last 12. 3 wide receivers, and the handoff goes to Waters. And we talked about the controversy this week surrounding Ricky Waters and John Gruden.
Well, and Waters has criticized John Gruden for not giving him the ball enough, and it was great. Gruden tells us yesterday, we sat down with him, he said, look, the night before I was up all night, my wife gave birth to a baby boy, 2 a.m., and I told my team I'd name my son Ricky. Of course, he didn't name him Ricky because those 2 guys certainly have a bit of animus between them.
Now, the newest Gruden is Michael James.
Yeah, that's right.
It's John and his wife Cindy.
A lot more appropriate than Ricky.
But that really broke the ice in yesterday morning's meeting with the offensive unit. Wide open Mark Say for another Eagles first down.
And again, Kenny, it's the chemistry that this Philadelphia Eagles offense wanted to get back into place. Now, coming into this game, Arizona felt that they could disrupt Ty Detmer by getting pressure in his face immediately, because Detmer's only 6 feet tall. He's not a big physical guy. And Vince Tobin told us yesterday that, look, we knocked down a lot of Detmer's balls, and we're going to be able to affect his passing game. But so far, they have not affected his passing game in the least. Detmer looking very sharp. and operating this offense with the efficiency that he's going to need for the Eagles to advance through the playoffs.
He's used 8 different receivers. And this time keeps it on the ground with Waters.
But Ray Rhodes has really done an outstanding job. You talk about how Vince Tobin has turned the attitude of his team around. Of course, Ray Rhodes did the same thing when he came here to Philadelphia, taking his team to the playoffs in his first 2 years. And I think because he's done such an outstanding job, it's caused people around this area to have really elevated their expectations. They don't want just a playoff team anymore. They want a Super Bowl team.
Kevin Turner. And he pulls his way across the 20-yard line.
How about Turner? Boy, you've got to love that. I mean, if you love football, you've got to love a December day and Kevin Turner out there on the screenplay and just hammering Kwame Lassiter. Here he is right here. It's a nicely set up screenplay. Nice job by the offensive line. He's got his blockers. Now let's listen. Wow, the crack of pads. I mean, that's a thing of beauty. Whenever you hear something like that, it gets your blood flowing. It makes you wish you were out there.
Not sure Kwame Lassiter was so happy he was out there. In Philadelphia with the Eagles on top by the score of 26-6. Kenny Albert along with Tim Green. We know the Eagles are headed to the playoffs. What is the mindset of an Arizona Cardinal right now heading into his final quarter of the season?
Well, they want to try to reestablish a little bit of the intensity that they've had throughout this season, and they want to come up with, you know, with some big plays and not make this just a blowout game where they're going to feel like they laid down. Because again, for the Arizona Cardinals, they wanted to establish that identity that Vince Tobin has worked so hard to change around, because coming into this season, the Cardinals thought of themselves as a doormat team. They really did. And people around the league thought of them as a doormat team. That is no longer the case. I mean, Tobin has changed the attitude around. And I think it's going to be a lot more palatable the offseason if these guys, even if they don't win this game today, at least if they go out on a good note and make a show of it.
Detmer. End zone, took a hit. And Fryer,
man, did
not make the catch, but what a hit on Detmer.
Ty Detmer's mom says he may not be big, but he's Texas tough. That's Texas tough right there. I mean, Jameer Miller slaughters him. Watch Detmer. I mean, this is unbelievable. Here's Jameer Miller. Now look at the head of steam Jameer Miller gets picking up. He gets that ball up and he hits him right in the head. I mean, that could have been a penalty easily, because you're not supposed to hit the quarterback in the head, but listen to it. Man, that is about as brutal as it gets. And look at Detmer. Knocked his chin strap off. Looks like it didn't even faze him.
Pitch back to Ricky Waters. And he is stopped by the combination of Eric Hill and Jameer Miller. Well, the Green Bay Packers lead Minnesota 31-10. So as long as this score holds up and the Packers hang on to their lead, the Eagles would play the second-place team in the NFC West. And if Carolina also wins today, that would mean the San Francisco 49ers. So
right, but
if the Eagles, the Panthers, and the Packers, who are all winning right now, hold on to their leads, it would be San Francisco.
So you've got that Pentium chip going again, and you've lost me.
Well, we'll have James Brown check it out for us in just a moment. Detmer throws it away. And here we go, McDonald's game break. Back to our Fox Television Center and JB.
And here we go to Jacksonville. Take a look at this field goal, Kenny and Tim. You think it's Jacksonville's day? A doink, that's good. I say it is. 19-10. Jacksonville Bills up and threatening as well. Back to Kenny and Tim.
So it looks as though it will be the Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars into the playoffs.
Which would mean the Chiefs would go home. And Gary Anderson looking to make it 5 of 5 this afternoon. This will be a 39-yard attempt. Anderson from 39. And he has now hit 5 field goals today against the Cardinals. It is now Philadelphia 29, Arizona 6. Kenny Albert, Tim Green in Philadelphia, where Gary